Anyway, I just wanted to throw. I'm sorry to divert from our agenda here from the that I set out at the top, but this is a very important point, and I think Ninto has a great point. So we'll kind of keep moving forward on that. I'm gonna keep throwing that around in my mind and seeing what I think about it. All right, on to my answer to the question about using video gaming as a prerequisite for dating. Those of you that have been on board long enough to watch some of those painful memories, you know how things can go badly. Obviously, most of those are not based on real life scenarios, but some of them are, believe it or not. And so some of those, maybe you've had a very similar experience with those kinds of things. I just don't know. Anyway, the point is, for me, I would have to say that I would never use video gaming or the acceptance of video gaming as a prerequisite unless the person was basically so anti-video gaming that they would not allow me that they would say, I'm not going to allow you to do that. First of all, anybody that says I'm not going to allow you to do anything is probably not somebody you want to be dating. That's just that's the Commodore's dating tip of the week, all right? That's just out there. Of course, the Commodore's had a tremendous amount of luck with that, as you can see. But anyway, the point is, for what it's worth, maybe I'll start a new series called the Commodore's dating tips. It'll be great, and you guys can, I'll just set up a little hidden camera when I go on dates, and you guys can critique the performance, and I'll be glad to do the same with you. No, I won't do any of that. Don't. I'm not doing any of that. Forget it. The point is, I don't use it except if somebody is very anti video gaming, to the point where it would just be like, I'm sorry, this is a part of my life. Just like work, just like, the things that I like to do, of which there are many. Video gaming is one of them. And I keep an active interest in it. And I'm probably not going to get along too well with somebody that doesn't accept that. So I would say no. But I think, as many people have said, it can be a very big perk. It can be a great thing. That being said, it can also be a bad thing. I have, as many of you have talked about, I've kind of dated the gamut of different philosophies here. I've dated girls that were very, very anti-gaming. Maybe not, I guess to the point of being prohibitive about it, but just anti-gaming. I don't really do it. I don't really care. Folks that might have enjoyed it, but never really played it, and kind of wanted to observe, and they would like to talk about it because we could talk about things, but not really any to be into it. I've had girlfriends who were gamers. I've had girlfriends that were gamers that probably played video games way too damn much. So I've kind of been all over the place in that regard, and I would say probably the worst in that order. The worst in that regard, I should say, not in that order. In my perspective, are either one, being totally and completely anti-gaming, and number two, being such a gamer that they don't make time for you either, right? I mean, I know that's weird for me to be saying that, but usually when those two extremes are the worst things. There's nothing worse. Guys, I love video games. I think they're great. You guys know that. All of you are out there because you love video games and you think they're great. But let me tell you something, guys. Nothing is as important as the relationships we make in this life, right? I don't know why I'm getting this philosophical on this week's Weekly Ringer. You ask about dating, you ask about personal stuff, you're going to get a personal answer. That's just the way that it works. Nothing is as important as the relationships that we create, and whether that's your friends, your family, your loved ones, whatever the case might be, your romantic endeavors, whatever you like to think about, nothing's as important to that. And the moment I stop respecting people is the moment that they start using video games as an excuse not to be with people, and not to have a social experience, and to avoid that kind of stuff. And that's the worst thing that I've found in my dating relationships, and I don't think I'd ever go through that again. That's tough. That's a really tough one. So, but anyway, I think so. That's kind of my 2 cents. I think ideally, for me, somebody Somebody not like the Sonic Rose who would kick my ass. I don't know that I could really handle that. And that's a great question. I'm gonna save that one. Sonic Rose brought up a great comment about that. Being beaten in video games is not cool when you're a guy. I have to say that, but it probably is that much worse when being beaten by a woman. I know that might be sexist of me, but there's something about that that's true. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't thought it out, but we'll talk about it some other time in the Weekly Ringer. I absolutely promise. Anyway, the point is, I think I'd probably like to have someone that could actively participate in games. They don't have to be able to beat me. They don't have to even be able to participate and have a lot of fun. Just someone that we can kind of sit down and play every once in a while and have a good time. And someone that doesn't mind that I like to sit down and I like to play games as a part of my time as well. That's when you make the golden connection. That's when it all kind of works. And I've been very lucky in my dating relationship so far that mostly that's what I've found. Anyway, so there we go. Those are my 2 cents on it. Thanks for getting involved in that conversation. I've wanted to ask that question for a while, and I'm glad it came out now, even though it was on a shorter week than normal. Again, if you have a lot more to say about it, please open a forum thread. I guarantee you, if you start a forum thread about this, you're going to get all kinds of answers from all kinds of places. So, feel free, guys. Let me know. All right. So now let's move on to the question for next week. First of all, what I really wanted to do was ask an E3 related question with E3 coming up. But I know that E3 is going to happen smack dab in the middle of when this video gets posted and when the next video gets posted. So any question I would ask you about what you hope to see would already be answered. It just didn't work out very cleanly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to promise you that next week I'll have an E3 related question where we can reflect on some things and, kind of understand a little bit more about E3 or whatever the case might be. I'll guarantee you something E3 related next week. But for this week, one of the things I thought about, I wanted to fill in the gaps a little bit. We haven't had a whole lot of tabletop-related stuff on the website recently. And I'm not sure how long it's been since I've talked about some tabletop stuff here on the Weekly Ringer. And so I thought, you know what? Let's ask a tabletop question. And there are lots of tabletop gaming questions I could ask. But rather than get really in-depth and maybe, I guess... maybe not aggravate, but alienate some of our community, I'm just going to ask a question that I think almost everybody out there has some kind of feeling about. And we're going to do it right here in the Weekly Ringer. And this one's going to erupt. It's going to be unreal. I want you to answer for next week the following question. The easiest one I could have pulled out of the tabletop gaming bag, guys. Which is the best edition of D&D and why? Get to it. I want to hear it. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to know which one is the edition you prefer and why. I expect there to be the geekery to abound, and I expect things might get heated. So we're going to see how things get played out. But anyway. So answer that question for me next week. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Thanks, as always, for watching and making me a part of your week here on the Weekly Ringer. I always love being a part of that. I hope you all have as much fun watching and commenting as I do recording and posting and reading. So thank you all so very much. This is the Weekly Ringer from me, the Commodore, here on the Clan of the Grey Wolf. And there is no reset button.